Hello, this is Encounters with Life. I'm your host, Sean Abigail. I was asked to produce some videos on geopolitics, a subject I think I know a little bit about, and this is going to be the first one. And I think as I make this video on January 1st of 2025, that 2025 is going to be a rough year. When I look at the trajectory of various countries around the world, various geopolitical situations around the world, it doesn't look pretty. It looks very uncertain. And so I'm going to ask a really serious question. Where is the next war going to be? Now, let's understand why wars occur. There's often different conflicts between nations that are over economics, over water, over religion, over lots of things. But often the tipping point is an authoritarian strongman who has problems at home, who is trying to distract his population from reality. And so he kicks off a war he thinks he can win, and he's going to get the support of the people because of it. This is what we saw if we look back in 1982 to the Falkland Islands War. The military junta in Argentina had a lot of economic problems. There was a lot of unrest. And so General Galtieri, Air Brigadier Dozo, and Admiral Anaya kicked off a war against the British in the Falkland Islands. Now, maybe there was a little bit of macho in this as well. They never imagined that a woman could oppose them, men. And then they found out why Margaret Thatcher was called the Iron Lady. And I think it was about a 78-day conflict that saw hundreds, almost 1,000 people killed on both sides. So that's why wars kick off. And as I look around, I see a lot of different situations. Certainly, there is the situation happening in Ukraine right now. And where that's going to end up, we don't know. What Donald Trump's proposals are for ending that conflict, we don't really know. But there's also the possibility that Western nations could be pulled into this fight. Certainly, Russia is doing its best to defeat Ukraine, and certainly Putin wants to distract the West, and he's doing his best. We may find, for instance, the Baltics become another hotspot. So after being under the Russian yoke for many years, they have now had freedom and they love it, and they don't want to go back to being a slave of the old Soviets or of the new Russians. And so there could be a conflict there. The Baltic nations have been, let's use the word plucky, with regards to supporting Ukraine. They have really done everything within their power. They are small nations, limited military potential, yet they have done everything within their power to support Ukraine. So there's the possibility that the Baltics and also all the cables that go undersea in the Baltic Sea, there is the possibility that that could kick off a conflict. Another potential conflict zone is between Turkey and Greece. They have had numerous tiffs over the years, and there are still unresolved issues as to who has sovereignty over various areas of the Mediterranean. If President Erdogan wants to distract his people from economic problems, maybe kicking off a war with Greece, a little conflict, and hope that it doesn't proceed to something bigger, but maybe that's something that will happen. We can also see in Syria the mess that is there, and it seems like everybody is involved. That could be an entire video in and of itself. The old Alawite guard under Assad, who has been kicked out, as supported by the Russians and the Iranians, and then the new rulers, the new conquerors, who do not control all of the country yet. And then there's also the Kurds, and there's various other groups. And it could be that that will kick off and get much more complex as the year goes on. Then there is the conflict, the border conflict between India and China in Aksai Chin, and in the year 2020, when the whole world was concerned about COVID, in June of that year, they had a conflict where they actually went at each other with clubs and knives. So weapons such as guns being forbidden, they decided, yeah, let's have a little conflict and let's go at it with hand weapons like clubs and knives. And that's what they did. And we don't know how many people were killed. Numbers suggest that it was 20 on the Indian side, maybe 4 on the Chinese side, maybe 40. We don't know. There was never really any official numbers put out or numbers that people really have confidence in. But that conflict in the line of actual control is still an issue, and it could take off. The Chinese have the upper hand there. They have spent a lot more time and money building roads, building infrastructure to move troops into that area. They've been thinking about that for a while. On the other hand, their airfields are at much higher altitude than the Indian airfields, which means that the airplanes can have much less fuel and munitions on takeoff because of the high altitude. And so the Indians have an advantage there. That could be another one. Speaking of India, well, we have their ongoing conflicts with Pakistan, and I can see a scenario where India and Pakistan, because of acts of terrorism across the border, with the Pakistani economy in terrible shape, maybe Pakistan's government will decide to try to distract their populace by having a go at India. That would not be wise, because I think the Indians would clean their clocks, but it would be a terrible battle and could even go nuclear. Finally, we have the South China Sea, and I think this is the big one, the big potential, and I'm going to make another video entirely about this. But the South China Sea and Taiwan, China is saying we will have reunification. They have never forsworn the possibility of using violence, using military force to complete that reunification. I think we are going to see something in the next 2, possibly 3, probably by 2027. We're going to see something happening there. So why did I bring up all of this? It's not to ruin your 2025, but to let you know what could be coming down the pipe. Again, I think about eventualities. I think about trajectories. What trajectory are two countries on? Are they on a trajectory where everything is getting better and there's peace and goodwill, or are they on a trajectory where there's a lot of bad will and desire to settle things by conflict, and whether there are authoritarian governments who are looking to distract their population? Well, that's what I think for 2025. And to be quite frank, I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping at the end of 2025, I can make a video and say, boy, was I ever wrong. It was a wonderful year. Peace and goodwill broke out everywhere, and people really tried to do their best for their people rather than trying to take over other people. I hope that's the case, but we'll see. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. I'm Sean Abigail. That's Encounters with Life. Have a good day. Hey, this has been Encounters with Life with Sean Abigail. If you've enjoyed this content, if you'd like to see more content like it, please like, subscribe, and share with others. Also leave a comment, because I'm interested to know what you think. Thanks a lot.